And I was getting my stuff together and walked out in the hallway, and he looked at me and he slapped me as hard as he could.
The only way you can do it is to feel you have to. You have to. You don't have an option. You have to.
When you think of the greatest actors of all time, one name always comes to mind: Meryl Streep. She's the gold standard, a master of the craft who is pretty much universally admired for her talent and professionalism. For 5 decades, she's built a legendary career, and with a record-breaking 21 Oscar nominations and 3 wins, her name is basically synonymous with excellence. To her colleagues and to us, she seems like the ultimate professional, a generous collaborator who makes every project better, but even a legend like Meryl Streep has her limits. While we see the perfect performances and the gracious smiles at awards shows, the reality is that not every set was a happy family. The very things that make her so great, her intense discipline, her deep respect for the script, and the way she completely disappears into a character, have, at times, put her on a collision course with co-stars who had very, very different ways of working. Now, let's be crystal clear right up front. Meryl Streep has never, ever publicly released a hate list. The title of this video is a way to explore the intense on-set dynamics and rumored clashes that have been reported over the years, not a literal list from Meryl herself. She doesn't get into public fights. Her displeasure is usually a quiet, professional chill that says more than shouting ever could. In this video, we're counting down the 6 figures who reportedly clashed with Meryl Streep, creating off-screen drama that was just as tense as what you saw in theaters. These are stories of artistic disagreements, clashing egos, and professional lines being crossed, all of which reveal the hidden conflicts behind some of Hollywood's most famous movies. Kicking off our list at number 6 isn't an actor at all, but a legend from the equally cutthroat world of high fashion, the late, great designer Karl Lagerfeld. This wasn't a slow-burn conflict on a movie set. It was a sudden, public firestorm that erupted just days before the 2017 Academy Awards. It was a battle that pitted Streep's flawless reputation against the famously sharp tongue of a fashion icon. The whole thing started around Streep's 20th Oscar nomination, for her role in Florence Foster Jenkins. Behind the scenes, her team was talking with Chanel, the iconic fashion house run by Lagerfeld, about a dress for the red carpet. According to Lagerfeld, he had already started sketching and creating a custom gray silk gown for her. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. A furious Karl Lagerfeld went straight to the press, giving an explosive interview to Women's Wear Daily. He claimed Streep's team called everything off, telling him, "Don't continue the dress. We found somebody who will pay us." The implication was insane, that Meryl Streep, one of the wealthiest and most respected actresses alive, was ditching a custom Chanel gown for a designer who would pay her to wear their dress. Lagerfeld didn't hold back, saying, "A genius actress, but cheapness also, no?" The story was a bombshell. It went against everything the public thought they knew about Meryl Streep. Accepting payment to wear a dress is a huge taboo for an A-list star, and the accusation felt designed to tarnish her character. Streep's team shot back immediately, calling the story completely false and saying it was against her personal morals to ever take money for a dress. But for Meryl, a simple denial wasn't going to cut it. She felt the story was a direct attack on her integrity and was overshadowing the honor of her historic nomination. So, she released a rare and powerful public statement, accusing Lagerfeld of defamation. "Karl Lagerfeld, a prominent designer, defamed me, my stylist, and the illustrious designer whose dress I chose to wear," she wrote. That publication printed this defamation, unchecked. Subsequently, the story was picked up globally, and continues, globally, to overwhelm my appearance at the Oscars. Feeling the heat, Lagerfeld tried to backtrack. He issued a statement saying he regretted the controversy, and claimed he had misunderstood things. For Streep, that wasn't nearly good enough. She fired back again, making it clear she wasn't satisfied. Mr. Lagerfeld's generic statement of regret for this controversy was not an apology, she declared. "He lied, they printed the lie, and I am still waiting." The feud was brief but incredibly intense. Lagerfeld did eventually issue a more direct apology, but the damage was done. It showed the world a side of Meryl Streep people rarely see, a woman who will not let anyone attack her honor, no matter how powerful they are. At number 5, we have a supposed clash of titans that was rumored to go down on the set of one of the most prestigious TV shows ever, Big Little Lies. When it was announced that Meryl would be joining season 2, fans went wild. Streep going toe-to-toe with Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon? It was a dream come true. But according to insider reports and tabloid gossip, adding Hollywood royalty to the mix created a subtle power struggle, especially with the show's established star, Nicole Kidman. Big Little Lies was already a massive hit. It was Kidman's baby, she and Reese Witherspoon had produced it, and Kidman had won an Emmy for her stunning portrayal of Celeste Wright. The show was built on female collaboration and empowerment. Then, Meryl Streep enters the scene. She was cast as Mary Louise Wright, the grieving mother of Celeste's abusive, now dead husband. On screen, their characters were designed to be enemies. Mary Louise shows up in Monterey to find out what really happened to her son, and she's immediately suspicious of Celeste and her friends. According to tabloid sources, this on-screen tension spilled over into real life. The gossip was that it all came down to a fight for the spotlight. Kidman, who had poured her heart into the first season, now had to share the stage with the most decorated actress in history. Insiders claimed that while there was huge professional respect between them, a war of egos started to brew. The set, once harmonious, now had two suns in its solar system. One tabloid even claimed that Kidman was frustrated by Streep stealing her spotlight. But it's so important to separate this kind of gossip from what we actually know. There is absolutely no on-the-record evidence to confirm any personal beef. In fact, both actresses have publicly gushed about each other. In a Vanity Fair interview, Streep talked about how she was so moved by Kidman's intense performance in one scene that she begged the director to stop, worried about the toll it was taking on her. She called Kidman a soft Valkyrie with a spine like steel. Kidman has said it was an honor to work with Streep and even revealed that Meryl was in the cast's group chat and was very funny. So, what's the real story? It's likely that the feud was a massive exaggeration, fueled by their characters' on-screen rivalry. Any real tension was probably more professional than personal. Other reports highlighted how fiercely Streep protected her character, sometimes refusing direction that she felt made Mary Louise too much of a one-dimensional villain. That level of artistic ownership could easily create some friction on a set, but it's a long way from a feud. Our number 4 spot revolves around a different kind of Hollywood drama, one born from rumored ambition and the high-stakes game of Oscar campaigning. The film was 2013's August, Osage County, a brutal family drama that brought together two of the biggest female stars on the planet, Meryl Streep as the venomous matriarch Violet, and Julia Roberts as her fiery daughter, Barbara. Their on-screen relationship is one of the most toxic in modern movies, capped off by a famous scene where Barbara tackles her own mother to the ground. Off-screen, however, reports started flying about a quieter, but just as intense, power struggle over the film's ending. A story that started in the National Enquirer claimed Streep was left livid by what she saw as a betrayal by Roberts. The original ending was supposed to be bleak, with the final shot lingering on Streep's character, alone and abandoned in her empty house. But according to the tabloid, test audiences found this ending way too depressing. This, the story alleges, was the opening Julia Roberts was waiting for. The rumor was that Roberts personally lobbied the director to change the ending, arguing that the final shot should be on her character, Barbara, driving away into an uncertain future. And that's exactly what happened. The final cut of the film ends on a close-up of Julia Roberts' face, effectively giving her the last word. The source in the story claimed Streep was so angry about this hijacking that she vowed never to work with Roberts again. It's a juicy story. But is any of it true? Just like the rumors about Nicole Kidman, the evidence for a real fight is incredibly thin and comes almost entirely from anonymous tabloid sources. The director, John Wells, shot the whole thing down. He confirmed the ending was changed because of test audience reactions, a totally normal thing in Hollywood, not because of lobbying from his star. He said audiences were terrified about what happened to Barbara, and the original ending felt like hitting them on the head with a hammer. Julia Roberts herself has said nothing but wonderful things about Streep, calling it an honor and a dream to work with her. The feud story seems to be a classic piece of celebrity gossip, probably cooked up to get attention for the film. It's a tantalizing story, for sure, but it's almost certainly more fiction than fact. If you're finding this look behind the Hollywood curtain as fascinating as we are, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden dramas of your favorite stars. At number 3, we have a conflict that was less about public fights or tabloid gossip, and more about a deep, philosophical disagreement over the art of acting itself. This was the quiet, artistic feud between Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline during the making of the 1982 masterpiece, Sophie's Choice. The film would earn Streep her second Oscar, but behind the scenes, getting that legendary performance meant dealing with a tense relationship with her co-star, whose approach to acting was the polar opposite of hers. Streep famously threw herself into the role of Sophie, a Holocaust survivor, with unbelievable dedication. She learned to speak Polish and German flawlessly and sunk herself into the character's trauma. Her process was all about meticulous research and deep psychological work. Kevin Kline, in his first-ever movie role, played her lover, Nathan, a character defined by wild, unpredictable mood swings. Kline came from theater, and his approach was more spontaneous and improvisational. From the get-go, these two styles just did not mix. According to reports from the set, the vibe between the two leads was often cool and distant. There was no shouting, but you could feel the artistic friction. Streep needed focus and a controlled environment to access Sophie's deep pain. Kline's more volatile style could be disruptive to that. In a 2004 AFI tribute, Kline himself hinted at this intensity. He remembered that before a particularly violent scene, Streep took him aside. She told him, "Don't hold back anything and don't be afraid of hurting me. Because you can't." Then she added, "And by the way, I really like to be surprised." While he told the story as a funny memory, it really reveals the core of their different methods. Streep, the ultimate professional, was giving him permission to go for it, trusting her own control. But that last part, "I like to be surprised," hints at the challenge his unpredictability posed to her. Carefully built performance, their on-screen chemistry is absolutely electric, and many believe that real-life artistic tension is exactly what makes the relationship so believable. You can feel the struggle between Streep's grounded suffering and Kline's dangerous energy. This wasn't a clash of egos. It was a clash of legitimate, but incompatible, artistic philosophies. They were two masters of their craft who simply spoke different artistic languages. Coming in hot at number 2 is another Hollywood legend, the icon of rebellion himself, Jack Nicholson. His reported conflict with Meryl Streep spanned 2 films, Heartburn and Ironweed, and it was a clash of acting styles, personal philosophies, and professional boundaries. According to some reports, this was a tough time for Streep, thanks to what's been described as Nicholson's relentless off-screen advances. Their first movie together, Heartburn, was already full of drama. It was based on Nora Ephron's novel about her painful divorce. Streep played the Ephron character, and Nicholson played her cheating husband. From the start, his larger-than-life persona was at odds with Streep's disciplined approach. Nicholson loved spontaneity and hated over-rehearsing. Streep, of course, is the queen of preparation, but the issues allegedly went much deeper. According to a biography of Nicholson, the actor's on-screen flirting didn't stop when the cameras were off. The book cites reports that Nicholson made relentless sexual overtures toward Streep during the making of Heartburn, which supposedly led to Streep throwing him out of her hotel room. These reports claimed the whole experience was so awful for Streep that she vowed never to make another movie with him. While Streep's team denied the hotel room story, rumors of a difficult working relationship stuck. The on-screen chemistry in Heartburn feels strained, and many critics thought Nicholson was miscast. Some think that lack of connection was a direct result of the off-screen friction. Despite that supposed vow, Streep did work with Nicholson again a year later on Ironweed. It's possible the challenging roles were enough to bring her back. But the fundamental differences between them were still there. Streep has spoken about Nicholson with carefully chosen words, admiring his thirst for life, a clear contrast to her own more private nature. She's an actress who transforms through discipline, he's a star whose personality is the performance. He blurs the lines between life and art, while she keeps them professionally clear. The reported clash between them is a perfect example of how a co-star's off-screen behavior can create a tense working environment, and here we are at number 1. This isn't a rumor. It isn't quiet friction. This is the most infamous, well-documented, and genuinely shocking conflict of Meryl Streep's entire career. It happened on the set of the 1979 film, Kramer vs. Kramer, and it involved a sustained, aggressive, and manipulative campaign by her co-star, Dustin Hoffman. The movie that won Streep her first Oscar was made in an environment so toxic that the emotional scars would last for decades. The film is a gut-wrenching drama about a bitter divorce. Hoffman, already a huge star and a fanatic of method acting, was playing Ted Kramer. Streep, a rising star, was cast as his wife, Joanna. From the very start, Hoffman reportedly resented Streep for wanting to make Joanna a more sympathetic character. According to the biography, Her Again, Becoming Meryl Streep, Hoffman decided he would break Streep down to get a raw performance out of her, no matter how cruel he had to be. His methods weren't just unprofessional, they were abusive. The torment started on day 1. In their very first scene together, without any warning, Hoffman slapped Streep hard across the face. The shock and pain on her face in the film is 100% real. Streep later said, "This was my first movie, and it was my first take in my first movie, and he just slapped me. It was overstepping. It only got worse." During another scene, Hoffman, trying to get a reaction, smashed a wine glass against a wall, sending shards flying into Streep's hair. A stunned Streep reportedly told him, "Next time you do that, I'd appreciate you letting me know." But Hoffman's cruelest tactic was using Streep's real-life grief as an acting tool. Just a year before filming, Streep's partner, the actor John Cazale, had died of cancer. Hoffman knew how much pain she was in. Right before they filmed an emotional courtroom scene, Hoffman leaned in and started taunting her, whispering Cazale's name in her ear and making nasty comments about his death. A producer recalled, he was goading her and provoking her, using stuff that he knew about her personal life, to get the response that he thought she should be giving. The antagonism was constant. When Streep tried to argue for her character's point of view, Hoffman reportedly snapped, "Meryl, why don't you stop carrying the flag for feminism and just act the scene?" Hoffman himself later admitted that he hated her guts during filming. The conflict with Dustin Hoffman goes way beyond an artistic disagreement. It's a terrifying example of the dark side of method acting, where dedication becomes an excuse for cruelty. While their on-screen war resulted in a cinematic masterpiece, the off-screen war left a lasting mark. Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman have never worked together again, and it's pretty clear why. His actions on that set solidify his spot as the undisputed #1 actor who clashed with the greatest actress of our time. From public fights over fashion to deep clashes over the art of acting, these stories give us a fascinating peek into the pressures of Hollywood. While Meryl Streep has a reputation for being graceful and professional, these conflicts reveal a woman with rock-solid artistic standards and a fierce need to protect her craft and her integrity. But let's say it one more time, Meryl Streep never made a list of actors she hated. That's just a dramatic way for us to look at these complicated relationships. The conflicts exist on a wide spectrum. On one end, you have the tabloid-fueled rumors about stars like Julia Roberts and Nicole Kidman, which are likely more gossip than reality. In the middle, you have the professional friction with artists like Kevin Kline, where opposite methods created a tough but ultimately brilliant creative environment, and then, you have the genuinely disturbing and unprofessional behavior from actors like Jack Nicholson and, especially, Dustin Hoffman. These weren't just clashes, they were violations of trust and personal boundaries. Streep's experiences on those sets show her incredible resilience and commitment to giving a brilliant performance. No matter the personal cost, these stories don't tarnish her legend, they make it stronger. They show us that behind the iconic roles is a woman of immense strength and principle. She doesn't need to shout from the rooftops about who wronged her. Her silence, her choice to simply move on and never share a screen with them again, is the most powerful statement of all. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Who do you think was most out of line? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from behind the silver screen. We'll see you in the next video.